Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining today's media availability with Utah Mammoth General Manager Bill Armstrong to discuss the signings of defenseman Dmitri Simashev and forward Daniil But. If you have a question, please raise your hand and wait to be called on. Let's start with Katherine Bogart with UtahMammoth.com. Katherine?
Bill, congratulations on the signings. Can you describe the decision-making process and all the steps it took from deciding this could be an option all the way to...
Recording in progress.
Well, there's a lot of decisions making going into this, but when it comes time to sign, the two big boys, Daniil But and Dmitri Simashev, there was a lot of work behind the scenes to get it done and to make sure, after we signed them, I should say after we drafted them, as we knew there was a long process before the day we would actually sign them. And I think through the world of advancement and technology and everything else, we were able to kind of keep in touch with them the best that we could, and their club was enabled us to have them into development camp, which was huge. So, Locomotive was extremely a good club to deal with on our end. So they were great, and they allowed the two players to come into development camp and be a part of our culture and stay in touch. So it was huge on that end of it, but there was a lot of planning, but truly excited about this day. For them to be able to come in and sign is huge for us.
Jeff Renier with Fox.
I just was looking at the video of these guys. They're some big boys as for size-wise. Everybody who follows Noel Sergeev on Instagram or whatever has seen video of him over in Russia just 2 months during the last month. How much did he play a role in getting these guys committed to come and play?
I think long before he had joined our organization, we had drafted them. I think when, it's such an easy transition for them in the sense of having a great player, a great role model, someone that's a fellow countryman inside our organization already. It allows a little bit more comfort level. I think he can help teach them what's not only expected in our league, but also our culture of our team, and what's coming their way. Obviously when you're you're a rookie showing up for training camp in a National Hockey League team, it's hard. So I think he's going to help guide them through all the pitfalls, and I think that his impact will be huge on both of them.
Dana Green with ABC.
Well, we did see a little bit of Daniil in that scrimmage last July, but how close are these two guys to actually making the roster and maybe even contributing as soon as this year?
Well, they've played in one of the best leagues in the world, in the KHL, and they played on a championship team. So I believe both of them will come into camp and will have a good opportunity to compete for a job, and I think they'll be close to making it. Obviously, there's a transition period, playing on a different size rink, and you're playing in North American hockey. There's a little bit of a transition period that occurs for those guys. I think with Daniil's height, he reminds me of Tage Thompson, and it takes a little bit of time to adjust that size of body to playing in the NHL. So he'll have probably a little bit harder adjustment, but at the same time, both those players are close. And if they can get over here in the summer and get comfortable over here, get comfortable with the system that our coaches play, it surely will make a difference when training camp starts.
And then we asked you for last year or so about the name. Now that it's finally official, I don't think we've gotten your official reaction. What do you think of Mammoth?
Oh, it's incredible. It's SCG has done a great job of bringing in incredible logos, and I love the name. You can see the excitement when we're around Utah, and and you see the kids and they see the logo on you, they just go crazy. And I'll tell you just a quick story. I ended up going to Canadian Town to do a little bit of scouting, and I forgot that I had the logo on my shirt, and I went into this hotel, and there's a massive youth hockey tournament, and I forgot that I had the logo on, and the kids seen it, and this was about 2 days after we had released it, and it literally started a riot in the hotel lobby about, where did he get that? Who are you? And I jumped in the elevator quickly, and they saw that I went up to the 9th floor. Well, they all headed up. There's about 3,000 kids on the 9th floor screaming. I could hear them as I locked myself in the room. Where's the Mammoth guy? Where's the Mammoth guy? So I realized at that point it was the logo was a massive hit, not only in Utah, but also across the world.
Chase Beardsley with the Hockey Writers.
Hey, Bill, just kind of going off the transition question, could you see these guys perhaps going to Tucson and playing a couple games with them somewhere in the season, getting some experience from that coaching staff?
Well, we always see the glass here half full, Not to say that, elite prospects don't touch the American League, because the American League is a great teacher of the game, and a lot of times players need it. They need to get touches of the puck, and they need to get those touches in offensive situations. So you never want to rule that out, but these guys have played at an elite level over in Russia and played for one of the top teams, and they experience a high pressure culture where they play. So there's a good opportunity that they might not ever touch the American League. And, the harder they train in the summer, the more that they get accustomed to the systems that we play, the better off they have a chance. So there is a good chance that they could be in the NHL and never touch the American League. But if they do, that's not a bad thing either. Sometimes prospects such as Dylan Guenther, Josh Doan, the Kesselrings of the world have all gone down and made huge strides out of the American League, and it's a great place to play. It's a great place to develop, and sometimes it leaves a lasting impression on a prospect that there's only one league to play in. That's the National Hockey League, and they want to push to get out of the American League, but they also know in the back of their mind they needed those touches and they needed to play in those situations to allow them to come up and be an NHL player.
Belle Fraser, Salt Lake Tribune.
Hi, Bill. Just what was the thinking behind the European assignment clause, and when does that kick in?
Well, the European assignment clause gives us an opportunity that if the transition period, if the player got sick or the player needed some time in the American League, we could do that for about the first year and a half. And then after they get past that point, it enables them to go back to a club in Europe and develop also. So I like it. I think it's a really good clause for the club. It allows them to come in here and if they need some transitional time to go down to Tucson, they can do that in the first couple of years.
Cole Bagley, KSL Sports.
Bill, congrats on the signing. Just, in terms of making strides, for both of these guys, where did they improve to the point that you decide, all right, it's time to bring them over?
Well, we with the technology, you get to watch all the games, on video, and you get to have analytics too at the same point. So you get a really good understanding of their impact that they're having over there, not only in the points that they produce, but actually watching them. And with Dmitri Simashev, he's a big man. He might be the biggest D-man I've ever drafted with that type of mobility I've ever seen in my life. Like, he can cover ground. He's one of the best skaters. He works at his game. He's extremely good on the D side of the puck. And there's some room for him to grow offensively, obviously, too, and add to get into play with his skating. But the things that he's elite are skating and just closing and defending is truly impressive at his size. And he just kept getting better and better during the course of the year and having more impact in the games. So that's Dmitri. I think Daniil, he's a big man that can score. He can make a play. He plays a really North American style in the sense that you saw in one of the tying goals in double overtime, I think it was, in the playoffs, the way he took the puck to the net, and that's what he does. He plays a North American style game. He's extremely aggressive, cutting into the net and occupying the front of the net with elite stick skills. So he's really impressive. His game has come a long way. Like I said before, Daniel, he is a massive human being, and he's learning to use his body more effectively. And it takes a while when you're that big to put the strength on to compete against men. And you could see every one of his games in the KHL, he got better and better.
Brogan Houston, Deseret News.
Hey, Bill. Forgive me if my mouth sounds a little funny. I just got out of the dentist. But, I'm still a little numb, but a couple of housekeeping items. So one is do both of these players have those European assignment clauses, or is it just Simashev?
Yeah, both players have the same clause. I think that was something that was a fairness for us, and allowing them to spend some time over here and help their development and be upfront with them and give them also a clause that works for them too. So.
Okay, and then do these signings impact what you're going to do on July 1st when free agency rolls around?
I believe so. Both these guys have the ability to have some impact with our team next year. Obviously, there's a transition period for them to adjust, but they've got a good opportunity to come in here and make a splash with our team.
Back to Bill.
Hey, Bill, do you expect them to be at development camp? And if so, what benefit is it that they get to come over together and kind of do this transition together in Utah?
Well, I like when our players that haven't played for us before come over for development camp, and especially sometimes they're older players out of Europe. It allows them a good period to get used to just the culture in North America, get familiar with our staff, get familiar with our facilities, and they play a role as a leader at our development camps, because it's now their third year coming into our camp and they're a little bit older. I think it's a great time for them to show their leadership skills. One of the main thing that I think it benefits is we have a strong culture here for the Mammoth, and we build it at development camp, and that's when our players, we always say our homegrown players fight harder, and that's what I mean when we draft them. We bring them into development camp and we explain the culture and what our expectations are for the player. And then if you get a player that's been here for 3 years, they start demanding it from themselves and also the players around them. And that's where our culture takes a strong growth, is usually at development camp.
Last question to Jeff Rainier.
I want to ask you about you 4 Americans that win the World Championship.
Yeah.
How important is that to have guys that win stuff like that in big tournaments and that experience they gain?
Well, as I've always said, you don't teach a baby shark how to bite. They know how to bite, and that's a big part of our culture, is winning. And we love the fact that our players, when they go over and they played for Team USA over in the World Championships, came home with a gold medal, because that says a lot about the talent level that they have and what they can do, not only with our club but overseas. And I love the fact that they had the ability to win in the big moments in overtime, and Cooley made that beautiful pass, set up the game winner. So they had huge impact over there. It was the first gold medal, I think, since, I don't know, it's been a long time since they won. I think it's 60 some odd years, and but it was a huge impact that winning had on them. And also, we also had Gabe Smith, going into the Memorial Cup and helping win the Quebec League along with Vastanen, won the Western Hockey League, and also with Dmitri Simashev and Daniil But winning the KHL championship. If you just continue to bring in winners, it's going to translate into to our club winning. We got to make the playoffs first. It's a huge thing. We've got Stanley Cup winners from Ian Cole to Stenlund to Mata to Sergeev, and that all has impact. And if you keep adding winners, soon enough you're going to have an opportunity to win for the Mammoth. So it's something that I love to see in our young players, the winning and in the championships. It really helps build our culture to a point where we're going to have an opportunity to win a championship here.
All right, thank you, Bill. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank you, guys.